hard and just achieve my goals by staying after school and accomplishing more.
I guess the main obstacle that we face is providing quality education for these kids.
These are the faces of just a fraction of the children in the Apache County School District. These are the children whose lives will be shaped by the education they receive in the most formative parts of their lives.
It takes teamwork to come together at the elementary level, the middle school level, and the high school level. If all the staff, teaching staff, come together and decide on a vision and a mission and the curriculum that they're going to use and what they're going to do, that would be something that we would call a quality education for our students.
The Apache County Schools are located from the Four Corners region down to the central eastern area of Arizona. It contains 11 school districts, 7 of which receive impact aid and educates over 10,000 students. According to one parent, the aid is crucial to the success of these children to get the tools and support for a proper education.
Talking with the teachers and they're saying, you know, we have to do this, we have to do that, but our funding, we don't have the funding for it. You know, it's frustrating. Because we all want the best for our kids. And you know, if I could pay it, I'd dip in my pocket and I'd pay it. I'm sure every parent feels that way.
Most of the land these school districts are on is federal land, and because of this, property tax revenues are not enough to cover costs. In most areas of the state, property taxes provide a large portion of the funding required for the education system. However, because they do not exist in Apache County, the budgets and school funding for these areas ride on the backs of impact aid.
If the Fed cut the budget of school, we really operate at very minimum standard, minimum level.
If it wasn't for the support from the federal, such as the impact aid and other funding sources to provide the services for Native American students, especially in the remote areas such as Red Mesa Unified School District, the success stories would have been limited.
The legal responsibility and cost of educating American Indian children has long been a controversial issue between the federal government and the states. Prior to 1953, the Bureau of Indian Affairs operated the only school system available to Indian children living on reservation or trust lands. Since that time, federal court rulings have required states to provide free public schools on Indian land for Indian children. In essence, the courts have declared that Indians are citizens of their respective states, with all rights guaranteed under state constitutions, including access to public schools. The problem lies in the fact that in many of these reservation areas, there is not enough taxable land to sustain the public schools. The attitude that has arisen from this is let the federal government educate the Indians. This has led to serious legal issues in Arizona.
Arizona has 22 Indian tribes. We have a large number of Indian tribes, and Arizona is the largest recipient of federal impact aid because of those children that we have that we're educating, and yet they never stop and think, well, what are your specific unique needs?
We have not really speak for ourselves, and I believe that we should do that. As a leader, we should speak out, speak up, and advocate for our Native American students to get the quality education that they need.
No matter what test you give them, they're going to do it.
Ames testing, Arizona's instrument to measure standards, are one of the guidelines that these students must meet to receive more funding, which means teachers must constantly raise their classroom standards. And with the No Child Left Behind laws, teachers face even more challenging conditions without having the proper resources to raise student achievement levels.
I feel like I'm all alone trying to help these kids, and they have more needs than other classes do, and there's just endless obstacles we face with the amount of kids we have right now.
Since much of the funding comes from federal impact aid, there has always been some contention between the states and school districts over the correct appropriations of these funds. This past year, the state intervened and tried to take back funds that the districts had in reserves.
Good financial business management with their funds were pretty much robbed. And that's the way we look at it from the Arizona Impact Aid Association. And that's one of the big issues we've been taking on with the state of Arizona, and making visits and making a presence there at the state capitol to make certain that our needs are not overlooked.
The needs are many in these rural districts. After-school programs are crucial to these communities, most of which do not have any community centers. Most of these districts are located in areas that are so impoverished that the children have no other activities to keep them engaged.
Some of my friends have gotten into drugs and stuff like that, and I encourage them to take after-school activities with me and just be in sports, and they have they're off it now, so they're more focused in sports like basketball, and most of my friends are in wrestling now. They focus their attention more on that than having to do with drugs. So they're really good now. They have good grades, very good grades.
Maintenance and new construction are also concerns for funding. As the student population grows, it is necessary to build new schools as well as maintain the older ones. Getting the children to school is also a concern. Extreme weather conditions often plague these areas. In the winter, buses transport the children over poorly maintained roads. These Native American kids are not only taught the fundamentals like most other children, but are also educated about their heritage from a very early age. This requires having specialized teachers that can have a greater influence upon these children.
Being able to use our impact aid funding creatively to be able to provide professional development to teachers that we do recruit that may have a dual language background and a bicultural background, we're able to put in our own professional development to meet the needs.
Teacher housing is also one of the needs. Being in such isolated areas, teacher recruitment is difficult. Apache School County has taken on a grow your own philosophy. The goal is to educate and encourage students through their educations to become teachers. The advancement and learning of children also depends on supplies that are hard to come by and that can be distributed to the children. Since technology is such a large part of today's job market, it is equally as important that these students have the proper tools to receive just such an education. Some of the schools already have computer centers, however, more are needed, especially in the more isolated areas. The mission of the Apache County Schools and the staff is to provide educational and fiscal services to enhance student achievement in partnership with districts and local communities, and to work cooperatively with federal and state agencies in identifying the changing educational needs of Apache County and the complex communities we serve. We as adults need to take responsibility for the lives of these children. We also need to take responsibility for the state of the economic and education system and make sure that these children have a future to look forward to and the hope to help motivate them. We cannot leave them with the burdens that we have created. It has been federal impact aid funding that has helped students like these obtain their goals and become successful contributors to society. Let's make sure they continue to have that opportunity.